I was ready to hate on the Thunder, but they pulled through in the nick of time, in the clutch. They, thankfully for them, make it happen. And it was a really tough physical battle between the Pelicans and the Thunder, man. They were in each other's throat. The referees were letting them play. It was a lot of physicality, and it was beautiful to watch, man. It was a really fun game to watch. Some not so good shot making, some tightness from both teams, I would say. Uh, Offensively, both teams were pretty tight, but they're also a really good defensive team, so that does help with the tightness. Uh, but um, it was a really intriguing matchup, right? Chet early on was getting kind of bullied by Jonas Valanciunas. Then he did bounce back, was 15 of 11, 5 blocks, hit 2 3 pointers. One of them was really clutch. Hit that, I don't know if game winner is the right word, right? But he hit at least one of those clutch free throws. But he was getting bullied by Valanciunas, and it did not look pretty by Chet Holmgren in his playoff debut. Let's just put it that way. Um, and then Josh Giddey was pretty much a fucking non-existent, right? I don't think Josh Giddey. It's gonna be interesting if Josh Giddey will be playable throughout the playoffs, right? It's going to be interesting because they might need to rely on Isaiah Joe more. They might need to rely on Kaysen Wallace more, Aaron Wiggins more. By the way, shout out to these role players, right? Kaysen Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, and Jalen Williams gave them some timely baskets. And Kaysen Wallace is a really good player and a really good defender. So I think they might need to rely on him throughout this series and throughout these playoffs instead of Josh Giddey. If Gordon Hayward could give you something, that would be nice. And Aaron Wiggins also had some really good moments. Jalen Williams made 2 3 pointers, which I thought were huge in good times. And I didn't like him even playing, really, but he paid his dividends by hitting those 2 3 pointers in this game. So it was a weird game from the Thunder, man. The defense looked good. The defense looked solid, even though I think a lot of it had to do with the Pelicans shooting themselves in the foot a little bit and just not knocking down pretty good looks from the 3 point line, um, while going away from Valanciunas in the fourth quarter, going to Larry Nance, testing Chet at the rim with not as physical of a player as Jonas Valanciunas, who was giving him all kinds of trouble. Um, was tough, was tough, but obviously OKC played some really good defense. Lou Dort was sensational defensively. He didn't let Brandon Ingram breathe out there today, and they did really well double teaming Ingram, forcing him into tough decisions, tough shots. So that was all really good by them. Um, but I expected OKC to be way more ready for this. And for the size and for to run out Jonas Valanciunas of the building, but Chet wasn't able to knock down his 3 pointers and uh, or get him in foul trouble or anything, right? Valanciunas was well worth his diligence, right? 9 offensive rebounds, 13 points, put all the pressure on every single defender of the Thunder in the paint, and just was bullying them out there. So that's tough for OKC. That's just something I did not expect. Shea also, Herb Jones did a really good job on him. Herb Jones was all over Shea's ass, and didn't like some of the Shea. I just don't like his head tilts and the way he tries to sell contacts from time to time. But he did his thing in the fourth quarter and made the biggest shots of the night. And he's good enough to do so without all the head tilts and everything, right? He's that type of a player. But he had a really tough, uh, not sure if tough is the right word, but he had a weird playoff, not debut, right? But first playoff appearance this year. But closed it out in fashion. So that's all that matters at the end of the day. And I think he's going to get better. And I mean, to be fair, he's playing against a really good defense and one of the best defenders in the whole league in Herb Jones. So it's not like he has it easy. Still picked his spots fairly well, I would say, and didn't overforce it. That was nice from Shea. I thought he at least showed maturity, right? That's what you need from a guy like a 25-year-old Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in his first playoff game as a huge favorite. I mean, not sure if a huge favorite, but as the one seed. Jalen Williams, right? 8 of 18, 19.7 rebounds for assist. He was also a little sped up. I thought maybe the jitters got to him also a little bit, but he had some really good moments. I liked how he played. I think he's gonna be huge for this series and these playoffs. I just love the guy, but uh, wonder how the 3-point shooting will continue for OKC this series with the way the Pelicans defend. Can Josh Giddey even be playable in this series? And does he necessarily need to be playable? Is the question. And yeah, how will they deal with that physicality of Jonas Valanciunas? And now to the Pelicans, can could they not have played him more? I know he was a -2, but his impact was so felt, and Larinez did have some moments, but in that fourth quarter, he really did sell in a way. He really did take some tough shots, missed some tough shots, had turnovers. I'm pretty sure he had a turnover in that fourth quarter, right? Or did he not? Yeah, he did have a bad turnover. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he did have a bad turnover there. And CJ McCollum couldn't hit a wide open 3-pointer to give them a 3-point lead, right? Harab Jones couldn't give them a wide open 3-pointer to give them a 3-point lead. I thought they were a little sped up in that at the end of the game when it was tight, and uh, I thought they took some questionable shots, but at the end of the day, they had really good looks to win this fucking game, right? They had really good looks to win this game, and CJ McCollum couldn't come through, Harab Jones couldn't come through, and Brandon Ingram was non existent all game long, right? So that doesn't help you at all. Shout out Trey Murphy, he was sensational, even though it feels like history ball when it's from the corner or, it doesn't look as pretty as when he's shooting it further away from the basket from top of the key or uh, top of the key corners or however the fuck should I describe it, right? When we look at his 3-point attempts, let me see. Can we see the graph? Yeah, he didn't shoot well from this side. Hmm. Interesting, interesting. But it feels like the further away he gets, the better it looks. To be quite honest with you, but he was sensational. He had a really good game, and shame he couldn't get some shots down the stretch. But I mean, they took him away, and I mean, you had a Herb Jones who, even though he was 2 of 8, he hit one of the bigger shots of the night from a three point line, and he's a great 3-point shooter. But at the end of the day, he's uh, given away so much energy guarding Shea Gilgeous Alexander that yeah, it is what it is, man. But the Pelicans just couldn't take advantage of their rebounding advantage, especially on the offensive board, and missed some timely shots at the end of the day. But this was a really good game by them, and maybe a shame that they couldn't win this game because it would have been huge for the confidence of this team, obviously, even though they don't lack it, and it could have been a huge, into this huge, how could I say, huge dent into the psyche of OKC if they lost game one at home against an 8 seed, right, without their best player in Zion. Mm, But the physicality is tough for OKC, man, and it's gonna only get tougher. They have tough players, but obviously Chet only he can do so much with his body frame. Josh Giddey is a fucking bum ass, uh, and I mean you have Jokic coming, you have Luka coming, who's gonna be physical. You have if it's a Zubac coming, if Valanciunas does this to you, Zubac is gonna do it to you too. So I'm just rambling at this point. That's all I have to say. As always, be kind, trust, to others. Thank you all for listening, watching, whatever, and I'll catch you all whenever.